this song for ya.
You're listening to Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast. I will do one episode for each song the band recorded in the studio. However, this is a fan podcast and not band endorsed. It's more of a tribute to their long history, well beyond just the hits, and my way of giving something back to a band that has given so much to me. Let's dig in! Hello and welcome to Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, bringing you episode 66. Today we're talking about When a Blind Man Cries, the one and only bonus track from the Machine Head sessions. Interestingly, while they would go on to play this song during the Steve Morse era, Ritchie didn't like it, so it was not on the album, and it was not a song that they performed live. Ian Gillan would do a version of this song with Jeff Healey on guitar for the Gillan's End album, and Jeff played great on it. Very good version of that song. This one, remains my favorite, I suppose, because it's the one I heard first. Although the live versions that I've heard of it since are very, very well done. Steve Morse did a great job on those. I don't think I've heard a version with Simon McBride just yet, but you never know. It's so hard when you've got so many songs and only so much time to play on stage. But you know what? Today is Monday. Welcome to a new week, guys. Hope that your week is off to a good start. Even if you're just starting with this podcast, well, then you're at least in for some great music. That's for sure. Before we get into the episode, I want to take a moment to thank my wonderful patrons that go out of their way to support the show. I'm talking about the mighty Corey Morissette from Podcast Heaven. The CMPU just seems to be growing with podcasts constantly. I'm recording very well ahead of this episode coming out, but there's a good chance that Corey will have at least one more new podcast out by the time that this aired. I certainly hope so. I'm looking very forward to Rock Court. In the meantime, you can check him out on his abundance of podcasts, including The Ultimate Catalog Clash and The Podcast Will Rock and The Power of Positive Geeking. All excellent podcasts to listen to. And then, of course, we have Nate from the Deep Purple Podcast. Guys, I have that link in every show. At the very bottom of the links, go down and check out the Deep Purple Podcast. They have been doing this for quite a while, been through the entire Deep Purple catalog, as well as a number of live performances, going through family albums, Whitesnake, Rainbow, Blackmore's Night, all kinds of stuff. Then we have fun episodes like the Deep Purple Game Show and the What If episode, which I think was the first one I was on. Been a guest on that many times. We do a wonderful Christmas episode every year. It's a lot of fun and a fantastic show. So check that out. And then, of course, not to be forgotten, doesn't have a podcast, but he's still an incredibly great guy. Excellent taste in music. I've had many wonderful conversations with him over the last few years. William Rose. William, thank you. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Corey, for your support. It means a lot to me. I also want to thank everyone who has liked, shared, commented, all those good things. It means a lot that what I'm doing is actually reaching people, that you guys are enjoying the content. Whether you agree with what I'm saying or not is fine. Everybody has their own opinion, their own take on things. And a lot of it, guys, is going to be tied to your memory of the song, your nostalgia for why you loved it in the first place, what was going on in your life at the time that you first heard it, or when it became an important song to you. All those factors are very viable when it comes to why you feel about a song the way that you do. There are really no right or wrong opinions. I may be right or wrong about what I think a sound is, like whether it's a cowbell or a muted cymbal bell, like a hi-hat pressed down all the way. That has a tangible right and wrong. Everybody's feelings on music are right for them. And that's all there is to that. It's nice to be able to share music and really just highlight some things that I've never heard before in some of these songs, paying attention to a different element in the mix through different headphones, through different mixes of the songs. Like right now, we're working off the anniversary edition that Roger Glover remixed of Machine Head. I still hope that at some point he'll pick back up on those and maybe give us Perfect Strangers, House of Blue Light, and so on. Time will tell. I understand why he's not doing it, but I hope he does it anyway. So that being said, let's get into today's song. Like I said, this is the only bonus track from the Machine Head sessions that I'm aware of. Anything else was not released. There are also, you get quadraphonic mixes. You get a lot of good stuff on this package, and I would highly recommend that you check it out. I'm just going to go back into my drive here because I want to kind of highlight this for a second. I really didn't get into everything that we got from Roger on this, but we're working off of the mixes on disc 2. That's, I think, very important to note, but I'm going to tell you what's on both discs. On disc 1, you get all the songs, including When a Blind Man Cries, with the new Roger Glover remixes. There's also a little bit of studio chatter on some of those. Some of those don't fade out. They go all the way to the end, which is really nice. I love to chase a good song and into that fade. If the song is really intriguing me, I love what they're doing. I want to know what else happened. It's just the natural curiosity of me, I suppose. On disc 2 of the 2 discs, we again get all the songs. These are remastered versions, if I remember right. Those are the ones we're working off of. So we're getting a little bit more bass, a little cleaner mix in there, just from the mastering. The first one, I believe, are the ones that Roger went in and actually remixed. Then there are a couple of bonus tracks on this one. We get a quadraphonic mix of Maybe I'm a Leo and a quadraphonic mix of Lazy. So it's well worth the package, guys. If you're interested in Machine Head, if you love the album, Roger did such an amazing job remixing these as he had with all of these. And so that's what we're listening to, and that's what you should listen to, unless you want that muted nostalgia of the original release. Go grab yourself a copy of the vinyl, an original cassette, or an 8-track. I don't know if, I think there's probably a version in reel-to-reel out there. I don't know, but I do know 8-track, cassette, and vinyl are all viable options. Check out Discogs, guys. That is a great place to get all your music finds. So When a Blind Man Cries, let's get into it. Here it is by Deep Purple. It's interesting nowadays. Maybe this really started in the 80s. I'm not exactly sure, but it seemed like, bands would have a heavy opener and then you would go to a ballad. Seems like this would have been a good choice for a ballad. And I don't know if there wasn't enough time on the album and maybe they could only have the songs that they had. And it was that if you put this on, you had to boot something else because there just wasn't enough room. That's very possible. But in any case, I think this would have been a good fit on the album. But with Ritchie not liking the song, I can see how there would have been some contention. And in any case, we get the song as a bonus track. And it was released on a single, I believe. I think I have it. I'll have to look. But it's a nice setup. I mean, you get the feeling that it's going to be emotional right off the bat. You get this really nice, gentle playing from Ritchie. And if you think about some of the other songs on this album, those little lead-ins that he puts in there would fit this style. So he definitely knows how to connect with this kind of thing. And just a mood is what we're getting so far.
If you're leaving, close the door. I'm not expecting people anymore. Hear me grieving, lying on the floor. Whether I'm drunk or dead, I really ain't too sure.
It's rare that you get a lot of rim shots from Ian Pace. He doesn't really play them that much, but here it's a great way to lead in the song because it's definitely too gentle for a snare unless maybe you're using a brush on the snare instead of a stick, but he'll need the stick pretty quick. So, that's only going to go so long and so well. So I really like the choice to just do the ride cymbal and the rim shot. I think that's really nice. We're getting really passionate vocal from Ian and a nice backing from everyone else so far. I did check and I actually have this on 45 on two different copies. The first one is actually, oh, where did I put it? Ah, now I got to go back again. Let's see. The Never Before 45 had When a Blind Man Cries on the B side, and then New Live and Rare Volume 1, which was a three-song 45, has Black Knight, Painted Horse, and When a Blind Man Cries. So a couple of bonus tracks on that one, which is pretty nice. So yeah, it was released. Now, of course, I'm only talking about releases on Purple Records, the band's own record label. I'm sure that Warner Brothers and EMI and Harvest or whoever probably put out different configurations of things based on whatever they got the rights to do. So very possibly it appeared in other places as well.
I'm a blind man. I'm a blind man. And my world is pale. When a blind man cries, Lord, you know there ain't a sadder tale.
Really somber, simple music backing Ian here, which I like. I mean, you think about the talent in the band and all the things they could be doing, and they're really laying back and just letting the vocal carry this song. Which I think for this one is important. There's a couple of little bits that we get from John Lord in the right ear. We're getting some just very gentle stuff from Ritchie and Roger. You got Ian Pace just playing light snare with a little bit of ghost note in there and a ride cymbal. I mean, it's just tailor-made for vocals, this one. And the vocal delivery that we're getting from Ian Gillan is nothing short of spectacular, full of emotion, full of again, I would have to say a little bit of emptiness, going with my side one theme concept here. Very interesting how, again, we're talking about loneliness, isolation, very heavy themes of the song. I'm going to give the possibility that it's just nostalgia for me, that I'm so used to hearing the song this way that I really don't think about it too much. But honestly, I think that was a very fitting solo from Ritchie. I think that, obviously this deserves a gentle touch and a more emotional solo than you would put into, any other song on this album. But it just fits so well for me. And I don't know if that's just because I'm so used to hearing it or not. So I want to be fair and say that it's up to you whether you like the solo or not. I kind of equate this to like the most similar thing I can think of, and I don't know the Blackmore's Night catalog very well, just the Christmas album mainly, and a couple of the others. But I would probably most equate this solo to Temple of the King from Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. Very similar, just gentle playing and, really more subdued than most of his stuff. But I'm feeling a lot of emotion here. And that's exactly, again, it's like, the background. You don't need a lot in the background. You just need a little bit of a bed for this to sit on. And it does it very, very well.
Had a friend once in a room, had a good time, but it ended much too soon.
do find it interesting that John's got the distortion on the organ. You wouldn't expect that for a song like this, but it's gentle and it's just enough to give the song a little bit of a more solid foundation, I think. And I just love how subtle it is. And then he does this really nice swell at the end of this going into the next chorus. Yeah, really surprising, but I like that. I do have to say on a side note, I don't understand what the hell the song is about. I get it's about the isolation of a blind man. I can gather that. But what things, who's this friend? What the hell is going on?
I'm a blind man. I'm a blind man. Now my room is cold. When a blind man cries, Lord, you know, he feels it from his soul.
Yeah, it's over before you know it. It goes by really quick, and it's a little over 3 minutes, but it just feels like it's over. And you don't have a huge intro. There's not a bunch of different bridges and solo sections and trade-offs and all that. I mean, it's really a straightforward song. And that might have been part of what Ritchie didn't like, maybe because there was no alternative section, no bridge, no, anything else, no trade-off solo between him and John. And it just wasn't as developed or exciting and dramatic enough. I could see an argument if that's what his thinking was. I will say I'm glad it doesn't have those things. I think it stands on its own very well. Obviously, if we were presented with the song and it did have a bridge in it, for example, we wouldn't know any different. We wouldn't think about, wow, it's weird it has this bridge, or if they wouldn't have put this in here, it would be better. Necessarily, we only think about what we don't have instead of thinking about what we do have and not being there or shouldn't be there. At least in general, we think that way. So I think the song is fine as it is. If it came down to the argument of to put this song on the album, something else had to go. Let's look at it that way. When we did the I'm Alone episode on Fireball, I asked John Matola about that. If you had to remove a song to put this one on there, more specifically, I think the target would be Anyone's Daughter. Would you do it? For me, I have to say, I don't think that this song is stronger than any of the others that are actually on the album. So if it is a trade for time, I would say I think they made the right decision. I do love this song, don't get me wrong, but when I compare it to songs like Never Before, Pictures of Home, Space Truckin', where would you put it? I mean, what would you take off to put this song on Machine Head? I wouldn't. But I think having the option of releasing it as a single was the right way to go. And that's what I would vote for. That's always the nice thing, too, is that they did have that option. If a song didn't make the album, but they thought it was worth recording, there is always the compilation album. Eventually, you would start getting Japanese bonus tracks, so it would sometimes appear as that. But again, to make that argument for a Japanese bonus track, you'd have to have the room for it. That obviously on CD, cassette, you could start doing those kind of things, but as far as vinyl, you were very limited on time. So I'm happy with the album the way it is. I think this is a great bonus track. I think it's a great B-side for a 45, nice compliment to Never Before. And it actually, if I were a Deep Purple fan back in 1972, and maybe I would have been, but I was just born, so I didn't have a lot of choices in music yet. I don't think I even liked the Muppets yet. So I had a long way to go. But thinking in terms of being a Deep Purple fan in 1972, let's say I was in my teens or, early 20s and able to purchase music, make my own decisions, that sort of thing. If I got the album, I probably would not be inclined to buy the 45 single of Never Before if it was like Never Before and Pictures of Home or Never Before and Fireball or something like that. But being that When a Blind Man Cries was not on the album, I would absolutely be inclined to buy that 45 because now I'm getting a track I don't have. So then you go to marketing purposes and sales. And if you leave the song off the album, and I'm not saying this was the reason for it, it's been said very clearly in media multiple times that Ritchie did not like the song, and that's why it's not on the album. But I would still make the argument but to put it on the album, maybe they had to bump another song, and that might have been part of his rationale. That being said, it makes a lot of sense to release another song that wasn't on the album. You think about marketing, you think about income. Never before as a single, if you have Machine Head, why would you buy it? Well, if it has an unreleased track on it, of course you're going to buy it if you're a fan. So that's a lot more revenue than it would generate if it was any other song that had already been released. So excellent argument for that. And I really like the song. I feel like it could have been developed into a bigger song. But God, you really risk getting out of that just mood that it's in. I feel like this is a song that should be listened to. And I'm not saying this because of the title or the subject, but just purely from the tone that the music sets. I really feel like this is a song that you should listen to in a room with just candlelight, or, like maybe some Christmas lights, or, some of these LED lights, and just have like a really nice atmosphere. Kind of like, I can't speak to what the restaurants are around the world, but when you go towards the West Coast, I'm talking like Arizona, we had it in Nevada, we had it in California, these restaurants that have these large open patios where you can host parties. You can just when the weather's nice, they'll open the patio. You can go sit out there and have your dinner, maybe drinks and hang out. Sometimes there might be a band, but they're often decorated with these long strings of rope lights, or, strands with large bulbs on them that have like this kind of subtle muted lighting. And it just has like this really nice glow and a really subdued atmosphere. And even when there's a band playing, like it could be really loud. The band might, they typically don't hire like metal bands. It's, pop or easy listening music. But even with that going on, the lighting gives you like this really relaxed, muted, subdued atmosphere. And I think that's what the music is doing here. So I would say an environment like that would be really good for this. Or like I said, candlelight, Christmas lights, LED lights, something like that. But I just feel like this song musically has such an atmosphere that it's best listened to in a similar setting to really appreciate it. And also, when you do that, it goes back to my macaroon story, right? Les Macaroons in Vegas. They have that upstairs I've talked about, where they say, go up there, sit at the table, close your eyes, and taste the cookie. This gives you that opportunity. You're not distracted by 82,000 visuals in the room. If you're not looking at your phone, if you're allowing yourself to immerse in the experience and really, really just submerge yourself in this song, I think it's great. I think that's the ultimate listening experience for this one. But that's just me. Go listen to the song and, see how you feel about it. That's the most important thing. I can only point out what I hear, what I feel, what it makes me think of. It's up to you guys to decide that for yourself. So thank you for once again tuning into Deep Purple Smoke on the podcast. Happy to be your host as we are now ending Machine Head and getting ready to head into Who Do We Think We Are? A very interesting album that has a lot of varied feedback on it. We'll see how I feel song by song, and maybe we'll have some special guests on to see how they feel as well. We will see, but we'll see you in the next one, guys. Have a great day. Cheers. Thanks for listening to Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast, a tour of the entire Deep Purple studio recordings. Please remember to give the show a rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. Leave a comment and tell your friends. I also have a Patreon set up if you'd like to support the show. You can also write to me at smokeonthepodcast@gmail.com. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and thanks for listening.